Hello, my name's Bert Landro. I'm a business English coach. Welcome and please interact. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for coming. Now, today we're going to talk about interviewing in English, how to get good at this. Now, I would have to say I'm not the absolute expert on interviewing. I've interviewed lots of people. However, because I was an entrepreneur, I generally found my own opportunities and built them. A couple times I was interviewed. It's an interesting experience, and we're always nervous, and it's hard to get the right mindset. I think the most important thing is kind of going into the interview with an open mind and being well prepared, of course. And for somebody who is doing an interview in English, and English isn't your first language, of course, you really need to be prepared. And you need to be confident in your English, and you can get there. Interviews are very predictable. I'll go through these slides and it'll give me a little bit of a baseline to work on. And please make comments and interact. So don't be shy. How about tell me where you're from and why you're listening to me this morning? I'd appreciate that. Kansa. What should we inform them if they ask about ourselves? That is the key question. And you know there will be a question like that. And I do have some material for you. I've worked with a lot of students, preparing them, getting them ready for interviews. And we always spend a lot of time on that. And it's worked well. I believe I'm 100% that all my students have been successful in getting the jobs. And it's not me, it's them who have done the work. I help them with it. Before the interview, understand the company and its culture. This will give you a good idea how formal you should be, how you approach the people, what you say and what you don't say. And of course, stay away from controversies or any negatives. Practice, record, assess your English. You'd likely want to use, I didn't quite word this right, but don't be a robot. Yeah, don't memorize. Have your points, know the points you want to raise, but really don't go in there with the script, because you're going to be under some stress and you need to listen really careful. You don't need to, I don't want you focusing on, being a parrot and mimicking. So we need to be cool. We need to go in there with the idea too that this may not be the right job for you. So you're there to investigate them also. You're there to ask questions. You're there to see if you're comfortable. Figure out if it's a place you want to work. So be independent. It will take the stress off you. So listen to some sample interviews. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube and that. Different teachers presenting different ideas. One thing about interviews is it's not that difficult. It's extremely predictable. And I always tell my students, and I always start my classes. So generally when I do a class with somebody, we have a little bit of small talk, because small talk is very important. So we talk about something that happened in the past week, something that's happening now, something they're looking forward to next week, or they have a problem they want to talk with me about. And then we'll read a couple paragraphs of maybe the New York Times, The Economist, or something. And it's surprising how much better their English is after they do this. Their pronunciation, their intonation, their how they carry the conversation. It makes a real difference. So maybe if you're going to a live interview and you're sitting in your car before it, read something, some little article from breakingnewsenglish.com or something. Ask me about this. I'll give you some good sources, but this is very helpful. I don't know why people don't talk about it more. Now, for your interview, if you are applying for a job, yes, I presume you should have decent English, but you may not be confident. Most of my students are B2, C1 level speakers, some B1 level. And they always tell me they're not confident in their English. It doesn't matter how good they are. They always say they're not confident. And so we work on skills. We practice. They send me 2-minute reviews of videos and articles they read. And pretty soon their confidence comes up. Now, I let them know where they are and what little things they have to correct. But really, if you speak English well as your second or third or fourth language, you're amazing. People who can speak English fluently or pretty good or even at all have done something that most people can't do, and that's learn a second language. So be proud of yourself. And as I said, interviews are very predictable. So if you're well prepared and just prepared but not memorized, there's no reason why you can't be confident. Practice vocabulary and sentences that are a little more formal and professional. Remember, delivery is important also. Pause, take your time. They ask you a question, think about it. You can use something that's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a moment. Give yourself some time. Form the ideas in your mind and then express them. And think about your tone and your formality and just how you want the message to come across. And focus on listening. Listening and being responsive is key, and it's key in anything. Does anybody have any questions so far? I can see you in the comments, and any questions you have, I'm glad to answer while we're going through this. So the process, like I said, is predictable. You're going to have a greeting. How are you? How was your trip into the office? Or how's your week going? Anything special happening? Anything. They just want to put you at ease. So a little small talk, getting down to business. So, well, I guess we only have 30 minutes, so perhaps we better start now. And then the first questions, I guarantee you, well, pretty much guarantee, the first question is going to be something like, well, can you tell me something about yourself? Can you tell me what's happening with you at work? Can you give us some more information about yourself? And then you'll have some typical questions, the famous, tell me your 3 strengths and tell me your 3 weaknesses. Behavioral question, what was the worst day at work? Tell me about when you failed, how you overcame it. Tell me about working with somebody that wasn't cooperative. Then they'll give you an opportunity to ask your questions. So be prepared for that. Try to find some good questions to ask. And then they'll probably tell you what to expect next. So greetings and small talk, generally to break the ice. And I have a free course on mastering small talk. Just DM me if you want the link to the course. It's how I get to know people, how you get to know me. Keep the conversation positive and sincere. If you see something in their office and you feel comfortable on that, you might comment. If they have memorabilia on the wall, or you see you've gone to the same university, or you like the office decor. It looks like a comfortable place. People look happy, whatever you want. If it makes sense, if you think it's reasonable to say it, do it. The main thing is be comfortable and be sincere. And ask the question of yourself, is this a place I'd like to be? Getting down to business. So as I said, they'll generally ask you about yourself, something to that effect, or let's start. Yeah, it could be said in different ways, but answer it the same way. Walk me through your resume. Don't take them item for item through your resume. That's the worst. That is a bad answer to tell me about yourself. They have it in front of them. You might start by sort of saying, as you can see, I have worked at this, but just 5 seconds. I'd love to hear about your journey. Tell me a little bit about your background. They might also put you at ease by saying, hey, I see you have great English. How did you ever get so good at English? So we can approach this methodology present, past, and future. So as you can see, I'm currently a senior full stack developer at XYZ, or XYZ, as we say in Canada, company. I enjoy handling the more challenging assignments and mentoring junior team members when they encounter roadblocks. As the senior member below the team leader, I enjoy managing the group when the leader isn't available. Management has told me that I exceed productivity expectations by 50% with a high level of expertise and quality of work. So you might want these slides. And if you have questions, I'm really happy to answer them. So I hope, Kenza, this will help you. And yeah, be specific about results. Try to have proof for what you're saying. Presenting the past. Prior to working with XYZ company, working with the BD firm as a junior, that job provided me with work habits and exercise and coding. I did well with BD, and after 3 years wanted to develop different skills, so I moved to XYZ company. Both these companies are excellent at what they do, and the move has broadened my horizons. So we want to keep it positive. Of course, there was a reason why you left BD company, but we don't want to go to the negative. We want to stay positive. So what did you learn at BD company? How did it help you in your journey? And maybe some proof there too, success you had at BD, how you showed them who you were. Now, does anybody have any questions so far? You're a very quiet group. Is anybody here besides Kansa? I can't actually see who's here or how many people are here. So if you could let me know, and please let me know if the volume is okay, the video is okay, anything that I might be missing. So talking about the future, how do you do this? There are different strategies. Should we be non-assuming, or should we be a little assuming? Should we lead? I believe we should be direct. We should show our confidence that we are a good solution for them, that they are safe to hire us, that we will exceed their expectations. And we want, I would say, generally, we want to show we're going to be a good team player, and we have focus. We're conscientious being that person that stays until the job is done. however, reasonable about our work-life expectations. So I'll read this. I'm excited about your opportunity as a team leader and the sector of the industry your company serves. Your team leader mentoring program should continue to grow my management skills. I will also be finishing an executive MBA program next month, and I think this will give me some depth as to grow, so I can grow within your company. Of course, I have questions concerning this opportunity and understand I'm not the only applicant. However, I'm confident I can deliver the same quality of work as I provided to XYZ company. It is my sincere, how would you phrase this? It's my sincere expectation to exceed your requirements. If we can form an understanding and you decide and I decide to accept this opportunity, I am sure I will be a solid asset to your company. Look them in the eye or look at the camera, show your confidence. Be confident. If there's maybe one sentence in the whole thing that you want to be ready for, it's that statement that you can handle this job and that you will be ready for future advancement, that you're interested in their company. That's what business owners want. And they understand that you're not going to walk into the job and hit the road running. You're going to need to, learn your ropes, as we say, which means learn the basics, learn what you need to do around the company. There's always something unique about every business. So behavioral and typical and behavioral questions. Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. So try to be sincere and relatively direct with examples to support your comments. I would probably say I am organizationally challenged. How have I mitigated this challenge? Well, I realize my weakness, and first of all, if I have something to do, I generally make it a priority, and I focus on what is most important at any time and focus on completing that task and keeping myself organized. And luckily, technology has helped us a great deal. Programs like Notion and ChatGPT and different things are great time savers and will keep our work in order. Most of my clients are IT people, they're engineers, and so they tend to be on the perfectionist side, which most professionals are. And we do need to meet the standard of care. That's from my long history of working with engineers and architects in the insurance business. I insured most of the engineering architectural firms in my part of Canada. So I understood them. And so there's a standard of care that is expected of any professional. But some people just don't know when to move to the next step. And this kind of is where Agile comes from, and a minimal viable product, right? So we need to understand that we need to get to beta, we need to test it, we need to get feedback, and we need a product we need to start selling, because why do the entire process and then find out that people don't need our program, don't need our project? So, and when I produce a course for English, I always use the drip method at the beginning. So I will release one module a week, which is good because it gets people to focus on that, but it also gives me the comments from them so I can change the course and adapt to my students' needs. And if it just isn't what they want, then I can do a pivot and add some stuff to it that will make it worthwhile to them. So you just ask me for these slides after, and I'll post them. I'll probably just post them as carousel on the different programs I'm speaking on today. Now, behavioral questions. You've probably heard of the STAR methodology. We need some methodology for this. Something that's going to be a template for us so we can because we're going to be under stress. So we need to be able to keep up the flow and reduce our stress by feeling prepared. So situation, task, action, result. So in this case, I'm saying the person, when they were a junior, they were asked to do something special. And they felt that their future depended on it. But one of their team members that they needed data from wasn't being cooperative. They had their work to do, and just like everyone else. And so the person, took the approach of going to the person in private, not to embarrass them, and told them the problem, told them their fears and how important it was and how they want to succeed. And usually the person would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've had a lot of work. I'm under a lot of stress or something. I'll make this a priority and I will get this to you ASAP. And generally that will work. You get the data, you do your work. Maybe you do a crazy all-nighter or something stupid. You get it done, and your supervisors and managers can see that you're conscientious, that you want to do a great job, and that you can achieve a task. And if you have, if you meet roadblocks, don't let them stop you. Go and ask for help. So we all need help at times. So situation, task, action, result. So you achieved the result. Good outcome. Time to ask questions. Questions here. And in an interview, you should have a few good questions to show that you've read their press releases, you've looked at the bio on the key people in the company, you've looked at their mission statement, you've thought about their mission statement, you've read about their clientele, you have a pretty good idea of what challenges they have, and not to be controversial, but maybe ask them how they approach these types of problems or something. And just maybe about what's the management culture in the company, or what's their management style. They might ask you about your management style, which would be a good question. You could think about that. How do you like to lead people? Do you motivate them, or are you more of a direct, let's do this, do this, do this? Think about that. And so DM me if you would like my free course on business English small talk mastery. I deliver it over 7 days. So each day you get a video, and I will create a community so you can speak to other learners, and I will be on there several times a day to help. And generally at the end of it, sometime in it, I'll do a live session for whoever's in the course. I like to do it on Zoom instead of this kind of thing where I can see you and we can speak and relate. I do this, of course, because I want to help people. I want to find new students that I can help. My focus is, as I said, generally upper, intermediate, advanced, polishing your English so that you can be more successful. You can make more money. You can be not embarrassed to speak English. You can get up at meetings, give your opinions. even disagree with somebody, but in a way that is polite and non-threatening and achieves the objective. If it's important to change their way of thinking on something, but maybe refine it, maybe introduce new options. So you might say something to the effect, I really like your ideas. I think there's a lot of merit. Uh, and I think we should consider about refining them and consider some other options also, if this is okay. So we show respect and we achieve our objectives, because that's what's important in business. And if we all agree that looking after the stakeholders, looking after the company, fulfilling the company's purpose, which is to serve these stakeholders and help them, and the company's objective of making a profit so we can support our staff and have a profit to give to the shareholders at the end of the year, plus bonuses to the staff. So these are all important things. So I do a 10-week intense business English program that is designed to transform your English. And I've done it many, many times. I've taught for the last 4 years. I've had probably, I guess, about 300 business and IT students. I do group and individual classes. Most classes I've done have been individual. This is my retirement project after 30 plus years of high-level business experience. I was a co-founder of a multi-billion-dollar public company with my brother. It was very successful. And I owned a number of large and small businesses and worked with many people over the years. I'm not bragging. It's just I can confidently say that after so much business experience, I do know business English, and I can help people with career moves, business advice, preparing. I also have prepared many people for immigration exams and that for Canada. But any way I can assist you, just let me know. Does anybody have any questions before we end this live session? I really appreciate the time you've spent with me this morning. And just if you're on YouTube, just send me a friend request, or LinkedIn, where most of my contacts are. Just connect with me, DM me, whatever. Leonardo, thank you for coming. And yeah, it's getting really late. Where are you, Leonardo? It's still not too late here. It's just about 11 o'clock my time. I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, in a small community that's part of the bigger city. Yes, this will be available anytime you want to watch it. They stay. And I have quite a few live sessions I've done. So I try to do them on subjects that are applicable to intermediate and advanced English learners. And most of my clients are executives and IT and business professionals. However, I've also worked with some medical professionals and lawyers and that over the years. Sao Paulo. I can't say how many students I have in Sao Paulo. I hear about the football games and everything. And I know there was a game between Flamengo and Sao Paulo, I believe. And Sao Paulo moved up into the finals for Brazil. So that's pretty cool. I should go onto YouTube and watch these games. They beat Flamengo 2-0, I believe, and had lost the first game. Anyway, and Danielio, I gave you a double L. Dan, how you doing? Great. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Anybody else out there? Usually, most of the people that will see this will watch it later. And if I didn't have so many students in Europe, also, I would probably do it in the early evening. Uh, Perhaps in the future, I'll do two, one in the evening for my Latin American students and one in the about this time or early afternoon for my European students. Right, right. You don't like either of those teams. Yeah, we all have our favorites. In Canada, we all have our favorite hockey team. Uh, yeah, and it's funny. Everybody kind of has a little funny story there. So, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, please like it. Do whatever you do on the medium. I did this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, where I do most of my stuff. And I try to put lots of content up. So thank you. Bye.